Hello, I am Barendipitous, and in this video I'm going to react to Chapter 6 of the Brawlhalla Battle Pass Season 11 web novel. Chapter 6, Memories of the Ascendant. So this is probably going to talk about Azoth's memories, which I'm here for. I'm excited. Here we go. We got like this lava thing here. Dredging a soulstone from an active volcano, sailing into a lava ocean with magma geysers, having to fight with the fire draconid on one of those magma geysers. This is too much. If I ever get my claws on the facade who hid these, I'm gonna tear them to shreds. It wasn't that bad. Easy for you to say. You can make your little portals and flee at any sign of danger. I can't. Between the magma slimes, the fire bats, flaming ghouls, and the dragon, I'm at the end of my rope. Quiet with your bickering. Azoth surveyed the volcanic landscape, taking in the ashen wastes. Sprouts of fire ignited, throwing off sparks of light in the distance. This whole thing is like its own little like mini campaign kind of a thing, with like a party of adventurers. This is great. He stared at the glassy, cooled surface of the rocky shores of the molten lake. The rocks had an unusually smooth, dark sheen. Under the warm light, they seemed to swirl with iridescent colors. We're finally in a safe location to conduct the next part of the ritual. Loki, do you have the soul stones ready? 3 portals formed above Loki's head. A chain dangled from each, bearing the 3 soul stones. One of amber, dreaming of a past long gone and forgotten. One of gold, gleaming with the warmth of the sun. One of forest green, reverberating with the hum of life. Chell, how are your artistic abilities? Loki? I've never drawn before. If you count graffiti, I'm quite excellent. I will draw the circle then. After I do so, listen carefully to my next instructions. Azoth clasped his bony fingers together, muttering under his breath. His legs, torso, arms, then hands turned an oily black. He melted, slowly slumping over until his skull clattered to the ground, slick with dark tar. It's interesting with the whole tar thing. The dark tar crawled along the ground around Azoth's skull, fanning out like spindly, pulsating veins into the shape of an intricate runic circle. The air grew heavier, and every breath became more difficult than the last. The tar ignited and steamed, searing into the ground before dissipating. The same intricate runic circle from the surface temple was now burned in the ground before Chell and Loki. That's a cool way to inscribe a ritual circle. That's really neat. Azoth's disembodied voice echoed in the back of their thoughts, as if whispering into their minds. The circle is complete. A drop of blood from both of you on each of the soul stones. Order doesn't matter. The stones will activate and catalyze the ritual after that. Just stand back. Loki opened an empty hand and closed it around the materialized hilt of a dagger. With a prompting nod, he pinched the edge of the blade, scattering droplets of ichor among the stones. The stones began to levitate. Chell eyed the dagger suspiciously, but said nothing more as she pricked her thumb upon the tip of the dagger. As she smeared her blood on the stones, they glowed brighter and hotter. The soul stones slammed against the ground, seemingly possessed. The blood and ichor atop the stones wept into the ritual circle. The blood in Loki's ears roared as the air crackled once more. Thin shafts of light from the stones turned to pillars. He closed his eyes and backed away. Chell furrowed her brow as she braced her arm in front of her face, still daring to peer over and observe. Oh, memories of the Ascendant. Maybe each of the soul stones is like a memory for him. Like the gold one is like memories of, I don't know, Brawlhalla or maybe his kingdom or something. And the sun... Anyway, that's cool. The sun could be a reference to Egypt. Azoth and Mirage met. So there's that. And now we got green with... This is cool. That's another little theory that I have, that each of the stones, at least in this timeline, deal with like a memory that Azoth has. Color, again, Brawlhalla, forest, like Egyptian desert, that kind of thing. Really cool. Really, really cool, if true. With a thunderous crack, the light diffused. A cloud of blue smoke plumed forth, briefly forming a skull that scowled with an unbridled rage. The smoke formed a skull. Glowing blue eyes pierced through the smoke. A skeletal hand wiped through, clearing the air with one powerful sweep. I wonder if that that blue smoke is like the KO effect or something, like Azoth ascending or something to his next level. Yeah, this is Slow-Mo's Slow-Mo's reveal from today, and one of the reveals was the KO effect. And I think that KO effect with the skeletal figure, like ah ha ha. I'm pretty sure that's what that was. So I love how they incorporate each of the Battle Pass items into the story, or the story informs the Battle Pass item. It's probably a little bit of both. Anyway, it's really cool. And there he is, level 2. Wow, that looks so cool and rather freaky. And by the way, yeah, I'm sorry. The Sans memes are inevitable, right? He looks really cool. I love this design. This is really cool. The gold on the jaw and like the arcane horns and eyes, magic blue glowy whatever. Anyway, I am feeling more like myself. My power is returning to this form. I can feel it coursing through my bones. What? Do you not tremble before the sheer display of my power? Once again, grinding teeth, except like metal teeth this time. You look cute. The little horns. Those little beady eyes. Aww. Oh, that's so good. You insolent! You remind me of a young queen I once knew, from your empire. What? From the olden days? Yes. It was why I was so surprised to be summoned here. In the empire of the Jaguar Kingdom. Yes, so he has been here before. Oh, that's so cool. Of all the places, I never thought I'd see it again. She was a gentle soul, fierce, bright, so very proud, but at her core she was a kind girl. The people loved her. So yeah, wow, that's such a cool backstory for Queen Nai, because we don't get any of that from Queen Nai's lore. It's more like she cared a lot about her kingdom and this is what she did, but nothing before that, right? Wait, hold on. Yeah, just some brilliant battlefield victories and cunning sorcery of the great Queen Nai, and she made a plan. So, yeah, that's interesting. So she started off as like a good, gentle ruler, but I guess things have changed. That's very interesting. That's very cool. She would have wept hearing of your people's suffering. She wouldn't stand for it. How did you come to know her? She summoned me herself. She carved that ritual circle at the temple on the surface, Oh, so it was Queen Nai that did that, right? Because she's a powerful sorcerer, the cunning sorcery of the great Queen Nai. She's a sorcerer. She's a sorceress, an empress, a queen, all that kind of stuff. That's really cool. I first met her there. One moment I was in a glorious final show match in Brawlhalla, and the next I was in the depths of a dark tomb. I don't think she had any idea what sort of magic she was dabbling with. Illyria was supposed to keep the secrets of my revival ritual closely guarded, but, well, I suppose she managed to get her hands on the Soul Stone somehow and engineer her own magic. So yeah, I guess somehow that's how, somehow they got all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to Queen Nai. Or maybe they started in the Americas in this timeline, I don't know. Don't suppose this bodes well for Illyria. I should call home sometime. She must have been powerful indeed. That circle is made with deft, practiced hands and a sharp mind. A perfect melding of your Illyrian runes and iconography from the Jaguar Kingdom. Very impressive stuff. And so she held her control over you, just like we do now. What did she have you do? What could she have possibly wanted with power like yours in an era of peace? Seems like a bit of a waste of time to summon a war machine. She wanted a friend. Really? That's so interesting. Wow. That's it? Well, and an advisor. She was a lonely one, that one. Perhaps in a different life she would have preferred being a prolific scholar rather than a sovereign. But it was her birthright duty. There was no resource she would not exhaust to help her people. I would love to see like a nerd or like academic Queen Nye skin. I suppose the closest we have is Tomb Tamer Nye, where like she's like an Indiana Jones or like Tomb Raider kind of like that skin. Like archaeology and that kind of stuff. Who knows? Anyway. Initially, I was reluctant, but the young queen was very insistent and good-natured. I helped her in her magical studies and with running her kingdom. That's interesting that like Azoth is meant to be like this evil character, but I think like all this time has like mellowed him out so much. The characters in Brawlhalla are really cool, like lore-wise. From one ruler to another, I did feel some sort of pride of having a dedicated disciple. But evidently you perished at some point, else you wouldn't be here. Yes, it was some kind of riot, I think, hundreds of years ago. Using my powers to stand between her and the mob, I shielded the young queen. I died again. I died again that day. I still don't know what incited such an uproar. But she lived on. I made sure of it. Oh, so Queen Nye is living on because of Azoth's magic. I'm sure she's remembered as quite an illustrious ruler, so I don't have any regrets. What was her name, this queen? Perhaps I know of her from the songs and stories of her people. We have many great rulers from eras past. If she was truly great, I could tell you of her later feats if you'd like. I think Loki knows what's going on here. Why, I'd be surprised if you hadn't heard of her. With her potential, she surely would have accomplished something great. Maybe her name was Nye. Queen Nye. That isn't funny. What? Nothing I said was a joke. Your queen you so proclaim to adore is the fell Empress. The fell Empress Nye. That cannot be. A human lifespan is short, fleeting. It's been hundreds of years. Oh, okay, so maybe he just made sure that she stayed alive in her life and whatever. Anyway, it's been hundreds of years. She's surely long passed from this life and into the next. There's only been one Nye in our empire's history. She was there for the dawn of the first darkness. It was she who failed to protect our gods. How she managed to become a lich, we never knew. Until now. You taught her that magic. Do not dare insinuate such a thing. To become undying is a pox upon one's soul. I have grown weary of revival over the years. You'd think an endless life is something one should aspire to, but in truth, it is a journey with no end. The true joy of a well-lived life is one with a destination in mind. Whether you reach it or not someday does not matter. There's a little bit of like, you know, in Battle Pass Season 9 with that whole story, like, there's a little bit of like preaching, like sermonizing. That was like a little bit of like, there's a little bit of a sermon that was given by a high priestess who was modeled after High Priestess Nye from Battle Pass 4. And there's a little bit of this there's a little bit of that going on in here as well, which I think is really, really cool. Really cool parallels here. Like, yeah. Anyway, there's so much cool story potential all over the place in Brawlhalla lore. What matters is that there is something to aspire to dream for at the end. It gives you the strength to keep going. It gives the condition of being alive meaning. But living 1,000 lives and dying 1,000 deaths, I had come to lose sight of that, you see. For me, there is no end. There is no finality for me to aspire to. I swore fealty to my people until my castles turned to dust, and there was no one left to remember the great Azoth. And so I bound my soul eternally to these stones, a pact that vexes my sanity. I will never know rest. I made Nye swear on her life to not bring me back. Were I to fall, I was done. She was true to her word. I thought I was at rest for good. I find it unbelievable that she would make herself a lich. She was a sensible... Stop humanizing her! Your Queen Nai is the fair Empress, a husk of a woman who has caused untold suffering. She deserves no sympathy. Have you forgotten everything I've said? She has no great feats, only great failures. I don't suppose Azoth's story has compelled you to give the Queen another chance? The fell Empress sits complacently on her throne, letting her sins mount upon her soul. All she's doing is escaping the judgment she will surely face one day. No, I haven't been swayed. If anything, I'm only more confident. When it is time, she will fall. Azoth, maybe she was once someone worth protecting. I, too, had someone I cared very dearly for. I know what that feels like. Did something happen to Tezca? But if what you said about undeath is true, then perhaps the greatest gift you could give her is rest at last. Whew, boy. That was really good. Oh man, this story is really good. So as much as I praised the season 9 story, the Apocalypse story, that was a lot of fun, a lot of cool world building and like myth and story building and everything. There was kind of like a lot as well. It was very dense. And here there certainly is a lot going on, especially for someone like me who appreciates all the little references and nuances in the lore, but I do appreciate that chapters are a little bit shorter as well. Obviously, I'm never going to complain about more story, but I do appreciate that the story is maybe a little more digestible as well, and that more is happening, and it's really cool. Like all this, like even though the chapters are probably a little bit shorter, and there's also fewer chapters here as well. It feels just as like meaty lore wise, if that makes sense. Oh boy. Okay, well, we got 3 more. Under the Same Sun, Tomb of the Gods, and As Fate Foretold. And now we know that Fell Empress Nai is a lich. Basically, at least in Dungeons and Dragons terms, a lich is like an undead sorcerer or an undead wizard or an undead spellcaster who just kind of persists, either continuing some goal or something like that, or sitting on a throne somewhere, or continuing their studies ad infinitum. So, but yeah, liches are very powerful creatures in most fantasy realms. This is really cool. Thank you very much for joining me here, and yeah, I will have videos for each of the chapters, and again, a long one that will cover everything after everything is said and done. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, all the best.